Let us kill beavers if they flood the fields, farmers demand. We're going to read into this story from the Times, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from the Times with the headline, Let us kill beavers if they flood the fields, the farmers demand. The National Farmers Union, the NFU, said any widespread release must allow culling if the animals are disruptive. Now, it is important that farmers and their food and their crops are protected. And there definitely needs to be more looked into this when it comes to where beavers are being released. If they are causing damage to farmers, then there needs to be more looked into where they're being placed and where they could possibly be building floods that could end up damaging farms. There needs to be a lot of discussion about this. I do not agree with culling beavers if they cause damage to farms. I don't agree with that assessment at all. I'm very much against that idea. I can understand if some people feel that way, especially if you're a farmer. I respectfully disagree with that decision because we're trying to protect the species and trying to bring back a species, and culling them, that we're not at a point where it's not like we have an overpopulation of beavers and we need to cull them. That's not the situation we're in here. I have no problem if beavers need to be removed from an area of habitat in order to protect a farm. I don't have an issue with that. I think that is a logical way to do so as well. There are ways we can do this without the needs of. I think there are ways we could potentially get around this without the needs of having to kill beavers. But we also need to make sure that farms are protected as much as possibly can, and their situation in this must be heard. It should not be ignored whatsoever. I cannot stress the importance of the work that they do. They are already struggling, as we know that they are. Yes, a huge amount of investment has been put in by the government into farming, but we know obviously, like the inheritance tax, things have not been for British farmers for quite a while. They've not been doing well overall. They've been ripped off by the Conservative government for a long period as well. They were sold out with the trade deals that were signed by Australia and New Zealand under the Conservatives as well. So for them, every single battle really does matter for them, including this one, whether you agree or disagree with the premise of what they want to deal with beavers. So farmers say they must have the option to kill beavers if the government allows their release into the wild and that the animals cause flooding. So a new regime to allow licensed introduced beavers in England, which have been shown to improve water quality and help other wildlife flourish, is expected imminently after years of delays. Excuse me. Steve Reed, the Environment Secretary, who faced angry farmers and protesters at the farming conference on Tuesday, said that the farms for beavers will be published in due course. So right now we don't know. However, the president of the National Farmers Union, NFU, Tom Bradshaw, said any widespread release of beavers must allow farmers to cull them if they are disruptive. The dams that beavers are building waterways can cause floods of fields, including arable land. And this is a massive problem here. We need to make sure this is something that must not happen. You've got to have the final control method in place. And if beavers end up in the wrong place, then that lethal control has to be part of being able to have species reintroduced more widely, Bradshaw told the Times. Beavers were hunted into extinction in England 5 centuries ago. However, a rogue release occurred around 2014 when they were spotted on the River Otter in Devon. The government plans to trap them but back down and commissioned a report that they found that they bring benefits, including reducing flooding risks to homes and helping birds and fish. They were given legal protection in 2022 in England. This is important as well because, what beavers do if they can help reduce flooding in England, then this species should be protected. So the government got to try to find a balance here. The former Prime Minister Boris Johnson said in 2021 that the UK would build back beavers and would allow licensed release. However, charities such as the Wildlife Trust have been waiting for years for Natural England to allow applications for licence introductions. Bradshaw says that the concern at the moment is that we don't know whether that legal control is going to be part of this announcement or not, and making sure that, particularly if they undermine our flood defences, if they undermine some of our lowland water carriers, waterways that are so important in protecting our valuable land, then you need to have those mitigations to cull them in place. I don't agree with the culling. I don't agree with the culling. I absolutely agree that if they are causing a problem, I have no problem with them being moved or relocated. But I don't agree with the culling at all. I really, really don't, guys. Since 2022, beavers have been a legally protected species in England, and farmers must apply for licenses, even for initial steps such as removing beaver dams that are more than a fortnight old. It is unclear how any culling would be carried out in England, but in Balrovia they can be trapped, removed, and emphasized. See, why can we not just do the trapped and removed instead of this part? Like, why can we not do that? I know it's not as simple as that. I know some animal experts will say it's not as simple as that because you're disrupting their life. I understand that. It's like it's no different than moving a domesticated cat out of its territory. I understand that. It's not an easy thing to do to an animal. I get that. But I would rather do that than killing it. I really would. Culling it, sorry. Rob Stoneman, Director of Landscape Recovery at the Wildlife Trust, said beavers have been missing from the UK for far too long. Bringing them back is absolutely essential to tackle floods, waters, and pollution and water security. Their return must be accompanied by robust funding to support landowners. Rees faced a hostile reception at the NFU conference in London. Farmers groaned and booed as he defended the government's ending exemption for farmers from inheritance tax. David Passmore, a farmer based near Wolverhampton in Oxfordshire, said his 90-year-old mother, a widow, was wishing her life away before April 2026 when the new tax rule begins. I'm really sorry about the individual circumstances. Nobody should wish their lives away, Reeves told Passmore, who accused the government of making farmers take it on the chin to support public finances. Policy expected to raise about $500 million a year. Passmore said he did not think Reeves' answer was compassionate. Reeves reportedly apologised over a very difficult decision that the government has taken on inheritance tax, but we will focus on the future of making farms more profitable, he said. Several other farmers told Reed about they're worried about elderly parents and future problems future generations will face, such as having to sell land to pay tax bills. Reed said he could not comment on individual circumstances, but urged people to take tax advice and added that farmers have 10 years to pay. Yeah, this is the truth. They do have a decade to pay on it. I've spoken at length about it. I'm not going to talk about the inheritance tax here, guys. I've spoken about it in the past. He was greeted by a phalanx of tractors outside the QEI Centre in Westminster, and farmers hooted their horns. Opening speech was interrupted by a protest in the room. Bradshaw's speech was also disrupted when two people of the ethical treatment of animals Pentas activists dressed as carrots got on stage to promote veganism. Bradshaw said that Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor who announced the inheritance tax change, was a coward for refusing to meet them. Reeves announced that an act allowing gen-edited crops such as wheat that produces healthier bread had passed into law on Tuesday. This offers huge potential to transform the plant breeding sector in England by enabling innovative plants to be commercialised in years instead of in decades, he said. Yep, I'm happy on that bit, but my main concern is obviously the main topic of discussion I wanted to talk about here is obviously the beavers. Now, I absolutely, like I said, I want to see an increase in beavers' popularity in England. I really do, because considering that we are an island that suffers a lot from flooding, we need to be able to tackle this. And with the current changes in climate right now, which are causing sea levels to rise, which means that people's homes are at risk, and beavers can help make a difference to that. Now, of course, I 100% agree with farmers on their concerns about them. I don't agree with the assessment that they should be culled. There are certain safeguards in place when it comes to beavers. I really hope that culling does not become allowed. It depends on what the level of The thing is, it depends on the level of population. Like I said, if we have an overpopulation of beavers in England, then I would probably be a little bit more inclined to say then culling will be okay, because we cannot have too much of the same species on there. Like I understand it would anger. I know some people who watch my channel, watch my views, would not be happy with me saying that. But I'm also realistic about it. But if we've been trying to bring back beavers now, which is what has been said in the piece, then I absolutely completely disagree with the idea of culling them, especially when we're trying to bring the species back into England. So in that regards, I don't agree with the culling. If we have a massive overpopulation of beavers, then yes, but we're not in that situation. That's not what it is. But I 100% agree with farmers about the need to protect their lands. I 100% agree with them that they need to make sure that they're able to protect their lands. But I just don't agree with the culling. You know, for me, if they can be captured and removed from the area where they could be a threat to farmers, I 100% I'm all for that. And taking down the floods that they built, I'm all for that. I really, really am, to protect the farmers. But I don't agree with the culling. That's just my position on it. Unless we have an overpopulation. But honestly, guys, what do you guys think about beavers? About the possibility that they could damage British farmers or English farmers in particular? I generally want your thoughts on this. And do you agree with me? It should depend on the population of the beavers as well, considering that they could have a role in helping reducing flooding in England, because I think that's a very important discussion. So please let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. Now, if you found this video informative or helpful in any way to you, please hit that like button, be greatly appreciated. Share this across social media so others notify this video, so we can also so others can have this discussion about this. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check out the Rumble and Patreon as well down below, where there's exclusive content on those platforms, which is free to watch on there. And if you want to financially support me in the work that I do here, click that join button down below for as little as 99p. May not seem like a lot of money, but it really does go a long way to supporting the work I do here. And thank you to anyone who has done so. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.